Today's presentation will be for existing CADAC users. So we're not going to go over the whole CADAC system, but we're really going to highlight the main changes for book publishers and magazines that will be transitioning to the publisher form in CADAC. First and foremost, we'll just acknowledge that the Canada Council for the Arts offices are located in Ottawa, are on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, whose presence here reaches back to time immemorial. If I'm winded, sorry, we just gave an hour training for new CADAC users joining as publishers. Catching my breath. But overview of the publisher form here. So we'll be taking a look at the background and objective of this new form. We'll take a look at the summary of changes and what does the access and transition look like. So for background and objective, CADAC was mandated to develop more tailored forms that better reflect the needs of different groups of organizations. The publisher form was developed after extensive consultations with a dedicated committee and sector experts. So publishers previously had to submit separate budgets and annexes with their applications. But with the new form, this will integrate this reporting directly into CADAC for all publishers. And so this was created in response to long-standing publisher needs. Even existing publishers in CADAC, the form wasn't really suited since most of them operate as either for-profit businesses or deal with inventory, cost of goods, etc. So this new form is designed to reduce duplication and ambiguity and to streamline the reporting. And finally, it improves sector-specific relevance and alignment with how publishers and magazines really manage their finances. So when we look at the changes, so to better represent the financial realities of publishers and magazines, mainly the earned revenue section and the operating expense sections were completely reworked in the form. So while the overall structure of the form remains the same, the details within these two sections mainly were significantly updated. There's a few other changes throughout the form, which we'll see later, but it's mainly these two sections that were really reworked. And changes to the form include, in the revenues, we have 16 lines that were renamed or relabeled, 10 brand new lines. In the expenses, we've relabeled 21 lines and added 2 brand new lines. In the profit and loss section, we've relabeled 10 lines and we added 3 new lines. And in the balance sheet or statement of financial position, we've renamed 2 lines and added 2 brand new lines. In terms of the report, the only change to the reports is that when you access your reports now, it's only going to be showing aggregated data from other publishers in CADAC. So because the forms are no longer directly comparable, when you go look at your benchmarking or comparable reports in CADAC, it's going to be showing aggregated data, well, your data and aggregate data from other publishers in the system. So please allow, once you do transition, please allow maybe a couple months, 3 months before you can really start seeing more robust data in the reports as we start onboarding and transitioning more book publishers and magazines into the system. A few examples of changes and what we did in the form to reflect some of the financial statements. So one of the main revenue lines in the financial statements that we noticed was book sales. So there's a whole new section right now on book sales in the financial form. Another one, for example, would be rights sales or royalties. So we've added 3 lines specific with a little subtotal specific to royalties, rights, and licensing fees. In the balance sheet, just a couple of examples, again, would be inventory. So we now have an inventory line in the assets of the balance sheet. And we also have a line for share capital. And we've also renamed some of the terms and lines to reflect more financial statements and terms used by the publishing industry, such as retained earnings or equity. We also have a line for share owners' withdrawals, and more specific to publishing and also for-profit companies. I have another document that I'll show just after this presentation that just shows everything, every line that we've added in the form, which we'll just take a look at quickly after the presentation. But right now for access and transition, the main question is the publisher form mandatory for book publishers and magazines? Yes, it is. So the publisher form is mandatory for all book publishers and magazines reporting in CADAC, and your funders will determine whether you should be using the publisher form or not. In terms of transition for existing organizations, so transitioning organizations will start fresh on the publisher form. So your forms will be transitioned from the standard to the publisher form, and all the publisher forms will be fresh with no more data. They're all going to be new. So previous data will be deactivated, so no longer visible to users, but it's not going to be deleted. Historical data will remain available in the back end if ever needed, so we're not deleting that data. We also recommend that you export a trends report prior to the transition, just to have, I guess, a record of your own data, so that you don't have to reach out to CADAC if ever you want to reference your historical data. And I'll show you how to generate that trends report right after. And finally, publisher forms will need to be completed and re-entered in CADAC with the new publisher form. So the years to be completed will be determined by your funder, but usually it's going to be at least 2 previous years, your current year, and between 1 and 4 projected years. So as I mentioned, generating a trends report. So we recommend that you do generate and export a trends report prior to transitioning to the publisher form. So this export will provide all of your historical data, which you can then use for reference when entering your information into the new publisher form. So the trends report, basically, it's your whole financial form, and you can select all the years that you want to export. So you can select, let's say, all of the years that you've inputted into CADAC, generate that into an Excel, and you're going to have that data for reference. So the steps for that, super easy. You click on reports in the top menu. Just under the financial and statistical report section, click on the report called Financial and Statistical Detailed Trend Report. Once you open the report, select the years you want to export. It's automatically going to have all of the line for all the financial form already selected. So all you have to do is select all the years you want to export. And when you hover your mouse over the report right here, these 3 lines, or that little menu, will appear. Where those 3 lines are, if you click on it, it's for more options. There's going to be a little drop-down menu, and then you click on Export Data, and it's going to download the whole report in Excel. We also have a video on our training page about generating reports that shows exactly how to generate this kind of report. Now, next steps and support. So as we move forward, here's what agencies and organizations can expect in terms of upcoming changes and available support. So in terms of statistical forms, right now, the publishers will only be reporting financial data in CADAC. So there is a statistical form that was developed alongside the financial form by the same subcommittee, but it's right now projected to be introduced and published later into 2026. In terms of rollout, book publishers that are already using CADAC will transition to the new publisher forms in the days following this live training. So we'll be starting the transition quite shortly. So you will need, as I said, to complete your financial form for your current year, 2 previous years, and at least 1 year of projections, maybe up to 4 years, depending on your funder's requirements. Earlier years don't need to be completed. You can, if you want to have that data in the system. The publisher form is accessible all the way to back to 2020. So if you do want to complete those previous years to have in the system and then use in your reports, that's all fine. You don't need to, but feel free to do so. In terms of support, a full suite of guides, documents, and training resources will be made available. I'll show you in the next slide what it's going to look like more specifically for publishers. Again, direct customer support is always available at info@cadac.ca. And we'll be working with your funders as well, just to ensure smooth onboarding. And yeah, we'll try to help as much as we can. And just a note as well that our offices will be closed for the holidays between December 24th and January 5th. So the system, of course, will still be available. There just won't be anyone monitoring the CADAC info inbox between these dates. As I mentioned, the support page doesn't currently look like that. But if within a day or 2, it's going to be deployed. But what we're going to have is a section for general user guide. So this is where you get all your general information, like the modules, using CADAC as an arts organization, the module on using reports, information on CADAC user roles, first-time logins, and we now have also a big general FAQ. But we're also going to have a section specific for publisher form users with line instructions of the new publisher form. We'll also be emailing that to you as well. We also have a new accounting mapping template, so how to link or map your financial statements to the CADAC financial form. We have a how-to guide on how to use that accounting mapping template. And we've also developed an FAQ specific to book publishers and magazines. And then again, we have a bunch of training videos which are more generic. They're not specific to any form user. So you can always reference these videos to navigate in CADAC and for any specific tasks. And just before jumping into question, I did develop this little PDF just to show you what the form looks like now for the publishers. So it's quite similar to the standard form that you were using before. But as I mentioned before, the earned revenue section in the revenues was completely reworked. So what we have now is a little section here on book sales with a little subtotal line. We have a couple lines here on magazine subscriptions and sales. So we have 2 lines for subscriptions, 1 line for individual magazine sales or single copy sales. Then we have 2 lines for advertising revenue. We have lines specific for royalties, a few more specific other earned revenues here. As we go down in the public sector, in the federal section, we've added 5 lines here for more specific or publishing specific public funding programs, such as the Canada Book Fund, Canada Periodical Fund, Livre Canada Books, ASPP, and SHRC. And then in the expenses, again, we took what was the artistic section or expense section, and it is now the editorial, production, distribution, and circulation expenses section. So we have a little subsection for editorial costs, production costs, and distribution costs. And as we go down in the profit and loss section, we've added lines for transfers after profit, so from and to a parent or affiliated corporation. We have added a line for income tax, owners' withdrawals, and dividends paid out to shareholders. And in the balance sheet, we have a new line, for inventory at the end of the year. And in the net assets, we have a new line here for share capital. And of course, we renamed some of the lines to be more specific to the publishing industry.